And you guys know I love my brother Pasta from the Convo Couch. We got him join us today. Amazing independent journalist. I greatly enjoy your guys' coverage, especially on Empire. I think your COVID coverage is fantastic, and that's why we come into this conversation with all love and respect. But we got some things we got to talk about. Welcome to the show, Pasta.
Thanks for having me on, Nick. It's always a pleasure to be here with RBN and yourself. I remember when we had you first on the Convo Couch. It was election night. Remember that? Before
Yeah,
Fred Hampton left us even got started. I told people,
yeah.
I said, I can spot talent. Let's get this socialist MMA guy on. And here you are now today.
Yeah, you, Nico House, Fiorella, one of the first people that had the balls to platform my crazy ass. So we will always be in community because of that. And we also share a lot of very similar values. But when it comes to the issue of RFK, we had some disagreements and we clashed a few times on the timeline. This is one of the tweets that I sent out that you saw this and you're like, all right, put your dukes up. Put your dukes up, Nick. I don't want to straw man because one of the worst ways to start, and I call this a debate, it's a discussion, but it's a debate at the same time because we don't have an agreement. I know most people handle debates and does it in a pro wrestling style mode, but I think we're a gentleman here, so let's talk about this disagreement. I said this is what I said. I said art, and I want to hear your opinion. I don't want to straw man anything. I said RFK Jr. and his staff has no idea how he just derailed his entire campaign because of his trash Israel and Iran takes. But I guess a bunch of right-wingers like him now, so congrats. And also, I don't know if you saw this part because I know a lot of people don't read both tweets, but I also said RFK Jr. said multiple times that he didn't want to talk about vaccine during his run for president. It's just the media keep bringing it up. And I believe the real reason RFK Jr. ran was to help to spread propaganda for the Israeli state and smear Palestinians. It's clear that's one of his main intentions. So this is what you said in response. I want to get people to understand how this came together. And we had a few of these public disagreements. And you say insane and out of touch, to say the least. As much as it sucks, and it does sucks, Americans have foreign policy way down on their priority list. Unlike COVID protocols, which your guy still hasn't addressed, it feels like you're trying to ignore the fact that Cornell hasn't even presented himself as a serious candidate by bashing RFK to cope with reality. So once again, I don't want to strawman your argument at all. That's why I want to read your tweet. So I want you to explain it with your own word. Like, what is your general issue with my analysis of RFK?
Well, my analysis is not really, listen, you're going to attack somebody with power. You're going to attack a candidate. Go ahead and do so. My issue has been not just with yourself, with several other people, one other person on your network, and a couple other people I consider to be very close friends of mine, all fam we're talking about. Even my disagreements with Fiorella, except I don't think Fiorella has really done what you guys have done. And the first time I got a little bit ticked off is because it, sense memory reminded me of when I did support Tulsi years ago, and a lot of the Bernie progressives came after us. And I think the tweet that really upset me is when you said cultist. And I was really upset by that. I said, okay, here we go again. Let's keep it nice. Let's keep it clean. We can attack a person with power all we want, but attacking their followers, that's a little bit below the belt. And I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to protect my neighbors. People use other words like fanboy and fangirl and sycophants and, the right-wingers, I guess right-wingers. Again, it's another slanted kind of comment. I think that is the big issue because at the end of the day, I really do think that we need some unity when, things come to a halt of sorts, when these barriers come up. But RFK is not going to win. The Democratic Party is not going to let him win. And I'm not naive to think he's going to win. And I'm not supporting him by the fact that I do think he's the best candidate, but I'm not going to donate a dime to him, Nick. In fact, I'm going to cover him. And let's not forget, when it comes to this whole Israeli issue, it was me who went up to New Hampshire and opened up
we
this
gave you a lot of
can
credit
of
for
shitworms,
that.
right?
Yeah. We gave you a lot of credit for that, but go ahead.
So, so I do think get a little bit more allowances than other. Yes, I am throwing a fundraiser where I call him a once-in-a-lifetime candidate. I'm trying to raise monies, but I told people, whether you like him or dislike him, give me the money, get me on the ground, and let me get a microphone in front of his face because I won't lay down because I will, no matter what, I will ask him the tough questions. But going back to what I'm talking about, when we start attacking each other, when we start attacking our neighbors, that's where things get out of hand. And Cornel West and Chris Hedges attacked RFK. RFK has not attacked him one bit. It doesn't make sense to me why you guys are attacking RFK. He's running against Joe Biden. He's within the Democratic Party. If you don't want to support him because he's within the Democratic Party, so be it. But when he loses because he's going to get cheated, you want those people to come to you. You want those people to come over to Cornel West. And what you're doing, the behavior that you guys are portraying over here is the exact opposite. You're pushing people away. And so that is my issue, that you guys are putting a fork in between, the unity that needs to happen, because I strongly believe that. I vision this whole situation, RFK loses because he gets cheated in the Democratic Party. And then Cornel West says, come on over here, let's rock and roll, because they built a movement. Now, I wish Cornel West would get going. My interview with Cornel West, funny, he doesn't share that interview that he had with me. He shares everybody's interview on Twitter. Mine, he doesn't share. Why? Because I really challenged him. But I didn't only just challenge him, Nick. I gave him the information that's needed for him to really go into Trump areas and get those candidates and get those people that he talked about. That was his plan. So my issue is not so much with the fact that we're going after RFK for whatever reason. I strongly disagree with you that that's why he's running, just to provide cover for Israel. He sucks on Israel, no doubt about it. I don't want to elaborate on why. Me and Firo were kind of talking about it today. But let's not forget that his father and his uncle were publicly executed. And a lot of people point to the CIA, the Mossad, the gangsters, the mafia. You know what I'm saying? So there's a little bit of different circumstances when it comes to RFK. You know what I'm saying? But the other part I have problems with is, do you guys really think that any other Democrat that's running out there is a better option than RFK? You know what I'm saying? You can support Cornel West all you want, third party, but he's driving the Democratic Party crazy right now. They're sending out emails and texts, Nick, saying, we want to get him off the ballot. They're fearful of him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm very confused. I'm very confused by your move. And, like I said, when I do a debate or I have a discussion, there's a couple things I want to do. Number one, I want to learn something. I want to say, what does my debater or my opponent or my other, co-host or whatever it is, what is he thinking? What can I learn from him? So that's what I take from debates. And then also I try to calmly and confidently present my point of view. So that's what I'm looking to do today. I'm very confused. I'm a little bit upset too as well. I got to admit, Nick, I love you, but I was hurt when you called us cultists. You know what I'm saying? Because I thought that was wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
and like I said, at the end of the day, unity is needed.
I think one of the most important things to do is call out the cult of personality that leading people to kind of wedge on their values. So we're supporting a Zionist Democrat now. So, and when I see people who get upset at me for criticizing RFK, a politician, that's extremely weird. It's extremely weird, Pasta.
What makes us
when you will admit that he's wrong on these issues. Mm-hmm. So I criticize him, and then RFK fans go after me for criticizing them. So doesn't that make them seem like cultists to you if they do that? Because imagine if you criticize AOC, and then AOC fans are like, "Oh my God, Pasta, why are you criticizing AOC?" When AOC fans do that to me, I say you guys are being cultist, because that's when people criticize Trump, and then Trump supporters are like, "Oh my God, why are you criticizing Trump?" You're being a Trump cultist. So there are RFK fans who are having a hard time dealing with my criticisms, because there are a ton. And then you guys lash out at us because we have legit criticism. We're not smearing him on Democrat talking points. We talking about the fact that he's wrong on empire. He's wrong in Israel. And what you're doing is tone policing. You say, will you guys take it easy on RFK? We destroyed Marianne Williamson for having a way less horrific take on Israel than RFK. So why would you guys believe that we're going to take it easy on RFK Jr.? And if you're someone who is so attached to a politician that you don't want to join our movement because I hurt your feelings, you're not serious in the first place. So it had nothing to do with unity. It's about speaking truth to power. And if I say something that upsets you and you want to break the unity, that's not on me at all.
Yeah. Well, I disagree with your analysis, just because people still support him despite the Israeli issue. It is one issue. It's a big issue. It's a big issue to me. I don't like it at all. But it is not the only issue, right? And we understand there's never going to be such thing as a perfect candidate out there, that they're always going to have bad parts, good parts, whatnot. You got to do a cost-benefit analysis, whatnot. And the thing I don't see is a lot of RFK fans, and there's a lot of them, a lot of supporters, whose main sole issue is the COVID protocols. And guess what? they haven't attacked Cornell supporters the same way that he's been getting attacked. His supporters.
Why should he be attacked over his COVID positions?
Because
This
COVID
is something I
just
legitimately don't understand. Because to me, there's only one issue that matters regarding COVID. Are you willing to force people to take the vaccine or not? Are you for mandates? Are you for lockdowns? Dr. Cornel West said he was against lockdowns. He said on your show that he's against mandates. So why should we care about anything else other than that? I don't care if you take the vaccine. I don't care about your personal
because you don't understand it. Because you don't understand it. And this is something I think that you got wrong in the past, and you're still getting wrong to this day. When you said COVID's over, no, it's not. And that jab is for some, and I don't want to talk too much on YouTube. I don't want to get us in trouble. But some people feel like,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's just as egregious. And when you follow the whereabouts of where it came from, it leads you right back to DARPA, which is military. It's empire. And if you look at the statistics, just the statistic alone, you know what I'm saying? And I hate to say these things like that, but a lot of people point out the fact that it way exceeds what's going on in Israel-Palestine. And I hate to say those things, but for some people, it's just as egregious. It's not just about the mandate at all. And that's the problem over there, is that you guys still have not grasped what this is, that they still have mandates. Good.
I apologize, but I would acknowledge that the government and the establishment lied to us in a way that people can't even comprehend regarding COVID, right? Mm-hmm. There was a propaganda campaign that even friends and otherwise close allies fell for, right? Mm-hmm. So why is there zero grace shown on your behalf for people who fell for COVID propaganda, but you want us to have grace for RFK when he's knowingly spreading lies about Israel? Like, you guys see, I don't understand why you want everyone to have grace on RFK, but you guys hammer people who are victims of COVID propaganda. The people who got COVID wrong are victims of propaganda. Dr. Cornel West wasn't in power. So when you grilled him on Dr. Fauci, he deserved to be grilled on that. But that's because he fell for propaganda. Dr. Cornel West is willing to learn. We talked about mandates on this show and why we shouldn't support it. The difference between Dr. Cornel West is he's willing to talk and learn. RFK is avoiding every single fucking left show. It's a miracle he did Jimmy regarding Israel Palestine. Sabby can't get him on. We can't get him on. No one can get him on to talk about Israel. Max can't have a conversation with them. So at least Dr. Cornel West is willing to learn. RFK is willing to be a propagandist for the.
I don't agree with that at all. Dr. Cornel West did not share my interview for a reason, because he got embarrassed. He hasn't said one thing about the WEF. He hasn't said one thing about the WHO. He hasn't apologized for attacking people for saying, as he was praising the merchant of death, Dr. Fauci, and then saying that people didn't want to wear their masks because they didn't want to give up their freedoms, when it was completely wrong. I told him on the show, and I told him how much that it was upsetting to me, it's because we didn't get to have a conversation about it. And Nick, I just want to make sure I keep saying this again, because I think we're getting a little bit off track. I have no problems with you going after RFK. I have a problem with you going after your neighbors for supporting him, because they're doing a cost-benefit analysis. And I would say that's a fair criticism.
What's that? I would legitimately, I would concede and say that's a fair criticism. I'm a hothead. Like, you guys.
No, I know that. I know that.
I'm a hothead. And maybe I could, and I admit I could use nicer words in some situations. But I'm also a fan of shock therapy, and some RFK fans honestly upset me. I'll be on Twitter, I'll be doing my own thing. I'm not going after people. And RFK fans going after me because of my criticism. That made me upset, and that's why I use coaches. I will concede to you that that's maybe not the best thing to do. That's me reacting on my emotions. Yeah. But if you act like a coach, is what I think live one was. I'm gonna call it what it is. But sorry, I apologize for cutting you off. Go ahead, Pastor.
No. That's my biggest issue. And I don't think the cultist, the fanboy, the sycophants, you know what I'm saying? Those type of words are helpful. Comparing people to right wingers. At the end of the day, I still am desperate for, unity, and also too as well. And we could sit here and talk about this, like who's the better candidate. And I'll still say it's RFK, because there's more things that he does. I think he has the ability to reach across the aisle where Dr. Cornel West says he's going to do it, but he hasn't done one thing. You even grilled him on the point that he keeps letting Joe Biden off the hook by calling him a neoliberal, and as opposed to Donald Trump, by calling him a neo-fascist. And I told him, I said, how do you expect to walk into Trump land? You haven't been around Trumpers, Dr. West, because they ain't going to have that. You're once again trying to justify your reasons for, remember, let's vote for Joe Biden and push him to the left. Right? I mean, there are reasons we can go after Cornel West too as well. And that's something that I've had to stop myself from. There's a couple people online, they would say something about RFK, and I was about to go say something about Cornel West, and I put it up, and I deleted it. And I'm like, what am I doing? You can't do that because I want unity at the end of the day. And the thing about it is there are issues, and very strong issues for a lot of people on the left when it comes to Israel-Palestine. I get that. But I think at the same time, a lot of the Cornel West supporters have to understand that there's leftists like myself, there's leftists like Jimmy Dore, like Max Blumenthal, and all those people, how we feel strongly about COVID, the mandates, what it is, the whole 9 yards. It's not just about stopping the mandates. For me personally right now, you just can't be anti-mandate. You need to be anti-shot. And that's the where I'm at. And Cornel West said on my show, he took 3 shots and then stopped. Well, what happened that made you stop taking shots over there? You know what I'm saying? Did you realize something was wrong? Well, speak on it. Talk about it. He also hasn't had one public opinion, Nick. Why? It's frustrating. And I can understand how people, the criticism people were giving Jimmy, the same criticism people were giving me, is the fact that we would blow up Cornel West, but yet we would kind of be about Bobby and RFK, because RFK has expressed his opinions and we think he's wrong. With Cornel West, we're waiting for this guy to get started. Let's go. Get out there. Do some events. Talk. Reach across the aisle. You know, I know you're for censorship.
I think he had a great start. I'm
waiting for him to get out there. He hasn't had one public event yet.
Now, his official campaign launches at the end of the month. Like he's doing a launch with the Emmett family, the Emmett Till family. And I'm still debating whether I'm going to go or not. So Dr. Cornel West is at, there's one poll that had him at 60%, even before the primary process started. He's on the Breakfast Club. Like, this is a great moment to pull people out of third-party duopoly, especially people in my community, and this is why I'm personally invested. This is my personal interest in this. This is a great opportunity to pull people out of duopoly. I don't see a lot of movement building potential in RFK Jr. campaign at all, especially since he's running as a Democrat, and he's running as a Zionist Democrat. So that's why I'm willing to criticize him on issues like Israel-Palestine, because there's no general usefulness for his campaign, because Dr. Cornel West is raising the issue on Ukraine. And there's many people raising the issue on Ukraine, and there's a lot of people on the Great Barrington Declaration who got COVID right. We don't have to listen to a guy who discredited himself completely by saying easily disprovable lies on Israel-Palestine. And when I hear these easily disprovable lies, I'm like, I can't trust you. Like, I can't trust people. And you can call out Dr. Cornel West for being weak on his issues, but I don't think he's lying. I think he was fooled. And if you want to make the argument,
I think he's being naive. I think he's hiding. I think the fact that he's running in the Green Party with Chris Hedges and all these other people, maybe he's hiding right now. I mean, he finally booked Jimmy, and it's going to be what, September something, like 4 weeks out. Dr. Cornel West has not put himself in the frying pan at all either. So I mean, I think, and here's the thing that we have to understand: we have to do a cost-benefit analysis. There are other issues that RFK is raising to a conservative base that we also agree on. Just last week, Nick, he had a whole thing about on the border, right? This whole midnight at the border. And it was obvious to me that he was reaching out to conservatives for this move, right? He was going to say, this is what's going on the border. It's a tragedy. People are dying. People are missing. The cartels are running shit, yada, yada, yada. We need to fix this place over here. And he tried to do it in his RFK way, where he went out and talked to some kids, Spanish kids, and talked Spanish to them and stuff like that. But it's definitely a move to go after the conservative base. Well, the press then got questions. I got the second question, and I don't know if you saw the answer, but I told him, Nick, I said, why are we spending so much time talking about the border? We're not talking about the causality, the cause of migration, which is this occupation, 80 bases in Latin America, murder death squads being funded by our tax dollars, turning these countries into hell, and now they come show up at our border. And also the CIA, don't they run the cartels? And he started singing, and he started talking about these things. I'm not going to let these guys use our movement for their campaign, Nick. I'm out there to use their campaign for our movement, and that's what I'm going to do. And I did it with RFK, and he's going to reach that bit. We haven't even gotten to one of his biggest points yet, which is food sovereignty. And this is something we disagree about, right? We were supposed to be talking about Medicare for all. Medicare for all is what happens on the back end. We have a sick care system that deals with symptoms only, that's controlled by Big Pharma, that's captured by the FDA, which is something else that he has fought against for quite some time. We need to talk about a healthcare system. We need to talk about getting rid of Monsanto. We need to talk about what Putin did, which is signing a law that says no GMOs in Russia. We need to sign the same laws. We are number one in chronic issues, and these are the issues. No matter what, election's not fair, whatever you feel, he's got no chance, got a chance. These issues need to be brought up, and RFK is going to bring up those issues better than anybody.
Yeah, that's why I just don't understand the end game. Like, what's the end game for this stuff though? With this coalition that he's building, he's running in Democrat Party nomination. Polls show that he's tanking his support among approval among Democrats. So yeah, he got that was my tweet. I'm like, yeah, he got a lot of right wingers. What's the end goal? How we changing these things that he's talking about? For example, he's talking about the sickness of our population, and I talk about this all the time. This is why. And I don't want to strawman you. Please correct me if I'm wrong here. That's why your criticisms of Medicare for all and single payer healthcare is extremely confusing to me, because one of the reasons why we're so sick is because we have no option to get preventative care. We have no money to get proper diet programs, mostly because we spend a ton of money on healthcare. So I don't understand why we would leave that up
Well,
to
let's
the capitalist
talk about
framework.
let's talk apples and apples. What bill are you interested in when it comes to Medicare for all?
I actually for nationalizing the healthcare system.
As
I
is
think
right now, though, with the way it is,
it's one of the ways we can do that. And one of the reasons I'm supporting Medicare for all, I guess that's one entryway to do that. But the end goal should always be seizing the means of the healthcare, because I think that, and it's shown by cost, and it showed, like, I can make the financial argument and I can make the morality argument, because single payer can save money, and also you're not patriotic at all if you want to allow your neighbors to die or have medical debt because they don't have health care. So I think that's the right position. How we can get there is a legitimate debate, though.
Well, let me push back against that once again, because we don't have a healthcare system. We got a sick care system, and the sick care system itself is a reason why a lot of people are sick in the first place. We have unhealthy choices out there, and here's the thing: nobody wants controlled medicine, right? If there's an avenue in which you want to take with your healthcare, you don't want to be told that you have to do this to get that, do you? And that's what our system
That's
does.
what we have now, though. That's what we have now.
No, well, I mean, can you imagine if everybody was in the program and stuff right now, where they have to listen to what HHS says, Health and Human Services, we kick it all down to them, because that's what these bills do. It's a complete giveaway to big pharma. You know what I'm saying? And I am for
Big Pharma's
healthcare for
making
all.
money now.
What's that?
I don't understand your criticism, because Big Pharma is making money now in a privatized healthcare system.
If you nationalize it under the bills that are written right now, and if you nationalize it under the system we have now, they're going to make even more money, because we don't have a healthcare system.
So explain to me how. Let's use the Medicare for all bill, for example. Okay. And even Bernie's bill to cap the cost of prescription drugs, compared to the free market approach, where somehow the free market going to control the price of drugs, and the price of drugs is still going high. The problem that we have in healthcare and the authoritarian nature of the COVID reaction is because we have a privatized market system where people make money off of vaccines and healthcare. If you eliminate that profit motive, you can have a healthcare that's based on the community, correct?
I don't get what you're saying.
Let me rephrase this. So
yeah,
we all know that they lied to us about the shot. Let me be careful here. One of the reasons why they lied is because Big Pharma and these health insurance companies was making $1,000 per second on the vaccine. So them pushing mandates, them pushing the authoritarian COVID policies, was in order to increase the profits of the healthcare industry. So it's a problem of private capital. So I don't know why privatized.
All right. So what would be different on the Medicare for all system that I'm missing? Because all I'm seeing is that now you still have the same drugs being pushed by the same people who produce the drugs. Now you just have it on a nationalized system where people can get equity, and they would still have to take the same drugs. I don't.
You will have less people on drugs because they are able to get preventative care, because they can have free.
What preventative care do we have in this country? I don't see it.
Well, people are not able to go to the doctor to catch cancer early. My grandpa died because he never went to the doctor, and now he will catch up. I haven't been to the doctor in maybe 8 years.
Why do you think he got cancer?
Because our system is garbage, and our food is garbage. Everything we eat is garbage.
And the medications that they give us are garbage. See,
absolutely.
What I'm trying to say is that I'm not against people getting the proper help they need. But in this particular system, I don't want to put fuel on the fire and fund a system that's giving bad drugs to people. We have unhealthy food. We're not looking at the chronic diseases. COVID also exposed the fact that we are number one in chronic diseases in the world. You know what I'm saying? Most people didn't die from COVID. They died from comorbidities. So what I'm saying is that I'm with you as far as making sure that everybody's taken care of. but we need to get a preventive care system before we put money in.
No, so I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, Pastor. So Medicare fraud is not the end all goal. Because you're saying, yeah, there's it's not only healthcare. You got to talk about preventive care, which I agree with.
Yeah.
But having a privatized system is not helping. So at least when you have Medicare fraud.
Yeah.
I'm
not saying
where
we're at what I'm saying right now is that we got to fix our food, we got to fix our water, we got to fix our airs. We got to do that just as much as importantly as making sure that everybody gets the preventative health care they need. Because inside those bills, Western medicine, right, is covered. Eastern medicine is, acupuncture is not covered. Shiatsu massage is not covered. None of those bills that are out there cover those other things that we would consider to be more preventative. But all I'm saying, Nick, is that it's just as important to get rid of Monsanto as it is to make sure that everybody's covered.
Yeah, and
that's my point.
I'm glad I don't want to straw man arguments. I'm glad that you clarify that. What I believe, because our community is sick, our society is sick, and that is because of privatized healthcare. And I don't want to straw man your argument, Pastor. So I'm gonna use the argument I've seen people make. So there's arguments I've seen people on the right make where they'll say we can never have Medicare fraud. Do you see what happened with COVID? So what I tell people, the COVID issue is an issue of private capital. Every decision that was made under COVID was made to maximize profit for the health insurance companies. So we eliminate that will at least deal with at least a little bit of the crime. I'm not saying we'll deal with all of it, but at least they'll deal with the direct profit motive. But I know you don't have a lot of time, Pastor. You got early flight, so I want to give you an opportunity to ask me a question, like anything you want to challenge me.
Because I want to piggyback and support you. Can I share something real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. You can share. And also,
this is a tweet I made yesterday.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, and when you're ready, you let me know, and I'll press play.
Yeah, I'll pull it up here. And also, by the way, I was just about to say, I'm always down to join on Convo Couch if you wanted to.
Absolutely.
Extend this conversation because I know you got to go here shortly.
Well, the reason why I got to go is
go ahead.
Yeah, I just got home to Florida on Tuesday, and I got to get it back on a plane tomorrow on Thursday. And Jimmy Dore just announced. Jimmy Dore is hitting the road. He's got a lot of dates coming up, and starting this Friday, I'll be filling in for Jimmy Dore, hosting the Jimmy Dore show.
Oh, dude, that's gonna be fucking fire.
Yeah, I'm very, very thankful of it, and you know what I'm saying. I mean, and it's awesome. But listen, guys, I got to do a good job. This is just the first show, and I want many more. So you got to go over there and watch. You got to give me some support, and you know what I'm saying, and help me on out. But listen, I always argue with my conservative friends, and let me just put this up really quick because they always say they're trying to turn us communism, and that's why I put but communism. For all my populist right friends who constantly state that the ruling class is trying to turn us into a communist country, look at this. The World Bank used good old capitalism to control the people through healthcare.
Nel 1987 la Banca Mondiale pubblica un documento in cui individua 4 punti fondamentali per la gestione della sanità nei paesi in via di sviluppo. Point number 1, users must pay for public services. Point number 2, facilitates the entry of insurance. Point 3, favors the private sector. The 4th point, recommends decentralizing the management of public health, removing responsibility for it from the central government.
Cioè, praticamente far entrare il sistema sanitario mondiale dentro Wall Street.
So pretty much that's exactly what you're saying when you're talking about the privatization of healthcare. You know, so and I argue with my friends all the time, my libertarian friends. I tell them, I'm like, you know, you guys are so like you hate the government. You know, you want to eliminate it, but your idea is that decisions should be made in a boardroom rather than in a courtroom, and I'm not just for that. Their idea of like capitalism, or their idea of, you know, when it comes to economy, is like having a football game and taking out the referees and thinking it's going to be okay. The market always needs to be regulated. And that's why I believe, Nick, in elections so much, because I believe the only way we can accomplish this is if we have free, fair, and transparent elections, because then we get the civil servants we deserve and the civil servants we need. And all I have to say is that, you know, when it comes to this whole situation with RFK, I get how people can be upset with him for that issue, and that is a strong issue. It's not a small issue because it encompasses so much. But there's a lot of other information, a lot of other issues he's good on. And if we can elevate the public discourse in a society, in a country where they're just comatose, Nick, everybody's sleeping. You know what I'm saying? They don't know shit about politics. The politics is doing them. But if we can elevate some of these conversations, and you know, I think that a lot of people who do support RFK, who are mad at Cornel West for his stance on the COVID, need to relax a little bit, and vice versa the other way, as much as it hurts, because if they both come together, well, they'll complement each other, right, on the issues they're bad. And I think that's what's needed more than anything, because you know as well as I do, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, either one of them getting in, it's not going to be any better for Israel than if RFK gets in there. For whatever reason he's pandering, everybody in this government is terrible when it comes to Israel. That doesn't excuse RFK for his point of views, but I just think we have to look deeper down the rabbit hole in the lens and understand what's in front of us and find a way that we can at least be respectful with each other as we're going through this whole process. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad that you said that maybe you got a little bit crazy and you said too much, and that's awesome that you said that. And I look at that as really, kind of standing up for what you said and being a big man about it. So thank you so much, Nick, for doing so. And, I'll try to take it easy going after everybody as well. And, hopefully I'll see y'all.
Like when people criticize me for being a hothead, I'm like, I never denied. I'm like, I'm a hothead sometimes. So, and you talk about how we can come together despite some of the disagreements, and these conversations are exactly how we do it.